I went through and how you broke it down. I was like, oh damn, this guy basically has a recipe for when people are going through an awakening and what to do. He just real simply just kind of broke it down. And
that's right. That's a mantra though.
So you read the life visioning book. That's the one you're dealing with.
We started talking about it, and when I went through it, I heard you saying it. See, because I know Kundalini Yoga, so I'm trying to just balance the energy. The instructions and how you're saying what you're saying. I'm like,
to
this
me,
dude is giving
by me,
a
through
step,
me, as me.
Bam.
Absolutely.
And that's a mantra though. I was over there. Look at his arms. I was over there. It's a mantra.
When he said that across the street, my eye lit up, and I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was teaching a class, and I was a faculty at this school of higher consciousness, and a woman said, there seems to be a contradiction in the teaching. You know, on one level it says you should surrender all, but on the other level it says you can have it all if your mind can conceive it. So I walked up to the blackboard and I put those 4 stages down. I mean, they just emerged out of me.
Came out.
I just said, there's victim, there's manifestor, there's channel, and there's being. To us, by us, through us, and as us. And I just started breaking it down as to the stages that we grow through, and that we're here to consciously participate in our own evolution, our own unfolding. And that just synthesized everything. There's no contradiction, there's just stages. Just like there's no contradiction when you're riding a bicycle, if you have training wheels, it's not a contradiction. At some point, you don't need the training wheels. It's just another stage.
Evolution.
Yeah, it's evolution.
You know what I always say in art, like I'm in the art business, and everyone's like, it gets corny. Like you can attest to this from hip hop. It's like now it's kind of corny, but it's evolution. To us, it's corny, but it's now. It's evolution. And in art, it's the same way. So I get it. Spirituality. I haven't always been spiritual. I haven't always had these thoughts and this way of thinking. But now I've evolved into. And Joey definitely has.
That's why when I went to your place, it was like, because consciousness, right? Like I didn't have a conscious friend. I was a street kid, so I knew. I guess like money was my god, so to speak, and survival. But I knew with money I was able to surround myself with houses and from the things that you think you're safe, but you're not. But that's really what I knew. And then I mean,
we had, I don't know if you saw the part where we talked about how we met, but a friend of mine was going to jack him for a kilo of cocaine and came to me to help, and my friend said don't do it, and then we became really good friends because we were kind of on the same thing. So when he came to me and he's like, I'm hearing voices and I'm getting these downloads, I don't know what to do. I'm like,
I remember that.
You saw that one?
I remember. I went through all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you guys, I mean, I just haven't actually, I can't identify it, but he came to me and it's this dude who's very black and white. Kilu, like imagine somebody that there's just no getting around, but it's square. And now all of a sudden he's completely wide open talking about all these things that you kind of think about because I've been listening to you and you kind of know what it feels like, but you're still real protected. I'm like, you got to go to my teacher. And I introduced him to Tage, and she said, don't worry, he's getting too many downloads. We'll figure it out. And I was like, I felt like he was going to be safe in a weird way.
Yeah. And ultimately that's why he's sitting right there. You know, it's like that, having that friendship, because I didn't know why I was going to him. You know, somebody came, started speaking to me. One of my best friends had passed. And I was kind of processing it. Well, I thought, was I dying? Because why would spirits be talking to me? So I figured I must be dying. Right. And so then I ruled that out. Death. Yeah, you keep going through these, like you're ruling these things
Ego
out.
Death.
Yeah. And I'm trying to understand what's going on and why. And so I was trying to express it to my family, my son, and they knew me how I was building shit, doing things. And all of a sudden I'm talking to people and I'm going to feed some homeless. And they're like, what? I'm going to be of service. Right. And when I say be of service before, I would have paid someone else to do it for me. Right. Here, can you do that for me? Because I don't understand that. I really didn't understand what that meant. Is really the true.
That's interesting. Ego death.
It is. You know, what happens is your body it's not strong enough to hold all the energy. You know, so you're building up the capacity. While you're doing your Kundalini yoga, building up the capacity to hold more energy. So when it's first flooding you, it seems kind of discombobulated. You hear the voices, things are coming through that don't make sense. And when it happened to me, I thought I was going crazy. It's pathological. I was at a psychobiology department at USC on my way to med school. And all of this started downloading on me, and I wouldn't tell my professors because I didn't want them to think I'm
Yeah.
nuts. I'm in the psychology department.
Yeah.
Seeing visions, hearing voices. Things were going on.
Yeah, you can't tell them the truth.
Things were going on.
They don't want the truth.
That's an understatement. Things were going
Things
on.
were happening. I remember being in we would go counsel these guys who were locked up mentally, as a part of our internship program. So I'm talking to the guy, we're playing ping pong, and I'm asking why he's here. He said, well, he's hearing voices, seeing visions. He's describing everything I'm going through.
Yeah.
But he's locked up, and I'm
You're
not.
still
I'm at
free.
school.
Yeah.
So we're still playing ping pong, and we're talking. And then I realized we haven't talked in about 18 minutes. This is all telepathy.
Yeah.
I got so scared, I put the ping pong paddle down and checked myself out. I said, these people find out that I'm going through the same thing that this guy's going
Yeah,
through.
I'm in trouble. They
I'm
can
in
try to
trouble.
lock me up. Well, that's what happened to him.
I was locked up.
You got locked up
Oh, I was
Yeah.
locked up a couple times.
because of the mental?
Yeah, I was telling people. So look at Utah was married, 4 kids, 21 years, and I'm in the shower and people talking. So I was like, so I went to them. I'm like, yo, da 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 da. And at first, I just have to slow up. At first, it was okay because they were like, what's he going through? Let's just see, because I'm not hurting anybody. But then I had a series of people speaking to me, Yogi Bhajan being one of them, and
I knew Yogi Bhajan.
so when he started coming to me, like, my friend's different, but I'm talking to an Indian man now with the turban. They're like, yo, you're tripping.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, and so, but it felt real. It felt as real as the sun rising.
But it was real.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't feel real.
So I'm
It was
trying to
real.
convince them, but the more I'm trying to convince them, the crazier I look.
Right.
So as it's like, when you go in the house, it's like you go in, your family smiles, it's love, right? It's like you go in, the lights just go on. Pa!
Yeah.
I started going in the house, the lights weren't going on anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, everybody looked at you like you were weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demanded he get psych evaluated and
Yeah.
ended up in in the hospital for a couple days.
Almost got shot by police, like a litany of things. Almost stabbed out front of here by my friend because I was meditating, and because they were worried because of the way I used to be a street person. So I would act out if in certain things. So
Yeah.
when you have a little bit of this crazy thing, and they go, oh, but he has a temper, so he's done.
Mhm.
And once you're labeled crazy, you can't get a second opinion.
Right.
It's like, and I went willingly. So you go to a mental. First, I went to a hospital because I wanted help. I said, please, I feel good. And they said, you hear voices. And I go, well, it's more like I feel them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went there and to see that they didn't have any diagnosis besides schizophrenia, bipolar, all these different things, I'm going, yo, I don't feel that. And I can't take what you're telling me.
Right.
So ultimately, my former wife was like, we want you to go on medication. You're scaring us. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. And I ended up leaving and, trying to understand what what was happening to me and the energy that I was picking up on. And I used to say, I lost my family. I used to tell people that,
Right.
because that's what I thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Right.
it didn't. I was separated because I was finding my union with God.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
had to go through it.
And then
now
to
you're
go
developing
back,
a spiritual family.
and he's here.
He's
Like,
here,
so
yeah.
like and even if he says, that's why with you here, like your insight to certain things, just his ear to listen to it, to
Mhm.
listen to a wise man. People say, who's a wise man?
Mhm.
Dude, just walk that walk. Go listen. If you can't figure it out, you're not standing in front of the right man.
Right. Yeah, see, there's transformational psychology now. When I was coming through, they didn't have that. So it was real pathology. So you were put in an institution where they weren't practicing that. Now there are individuals that know the difference between a psychotic break and a spiritual awakening.
There are.
Yeah, there are transformational psychologists
And that's where assist
and they're
comes
spiritual
in.
practitioners
Okay.
that can tell the difference.
Can identify.
Because they look the same. Because you go crazy temporarily because the world that you've been previously living in is too small.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah, it's
before.
too small. So now you have to come forward.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, you were able to get out safe, but you're different.
Yes.
You're a totally different being. And it's only been a couple of years, right?
It's been 3 years. It's happened on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
So you're still integrating.
I mean,
Where's
between that
Kate?
time, look,
He's integrated.
I'll say this is integrated.
said that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So I was going to my friends and family because I had different ascended masters start communicating with me.
Yeah,
So
sure,
what
yeah.
I would do is I'd go to Yogi G's, like some of his first students, and I'm like, I think I'm talking to your dude.
Mm-hmm.
We start passing messages. Next thing I know, I'm like, yo, I guess I'm a yogi now, right?
He went to Egypt. I mean, he
Oh,
jumped head first, though. He jumped
Mama,
head
the hugging
first.
saint, had me come to her ashram in India, and I was just like, but luckily my wife was taking care of my kids because she wasn't. I wouldn't be able to go like that.
Right.
Like it was a divine intervention
Right.
that let me explore and find that piece of me that I was looking for. Right. But through that, when I went through that and I saw everybody that had died from addiction, and I was in this mental institution and everything going on, I was like, because I'm not crazy, and they're trying to say I am, but I got to just, I'm going to sing it from the rooftops. I'm getting this information, and this is how I'm getting it. And everyone's like, don't do that. They're going to think you're crazy. And I go, yep. But after the crazy's gone, I'll still be saying the same thing. And then they're going to have to listen because I'm not changing.
Right.
But the medicine and Western medicine have to understand the difference between a spiritual awakening and labeling people crazy.
Absolutely. They don't know that.
But it's our God-given right to experience this.
Right.
And it's our God-given right for our kids to experience this.
Right.
And it's being taken away in a way to where I think that we just have a second opinion. Say, hey, look, like, why is everybody bipolar? Why are all these different things? And I keep coming to this because people like yourself are giving that platform. You sound like a doctor. You just explained it and said, this is what's happening, and you're helping people. A lot of people don't even realize what they're getting. They're going to get help because they got soul depression.
And a lot of times people are getting meds when they should get meditation. You know, and they're giving them because the pharmaceutical company that runs the joint. A person could be having a spiritual awakening, and they'll give them something to stop it.
Yeah.
So people are going through radical changes, but our country, America's a baby country. It's only a couple of 100 years old. You know, when you go to India, you go to Egypt, these places are thousands of years old. So they've dealt with Kundalini energy, they've dealt with awakening. It's a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Our culture, it's like give it a pill and stop it. So you have to do what you do. You have to find a place that knows what's going on so that you can integrate it. But once you have the insight, then you have to integrate the insight and embody it. Your body temple becomes strong enough to hold the energy, which is why you take care of the temple. You don't take care of the temple for vanity. You take care of the temple so when the energy starts to roll through, you can hold it. Now when mine opened, I had tremendous pain in my heart. And I don't even know if you remember this, you were a little boy, but at times the ambulance would come to my house because they thought I was having a heart attack because I couldn't breathe. Pain, tremendous pain. But they found nothing wrong with me.
Like pressure?
It was like somebody sticking a knife in my heart. That's
Wow.
when I woke up, I was stabbed in the heart in a lucid dream and died. And when I woke up, I could see we were surrounded by this presence of love and beauty and intelligence, more real than anything. And I went to this guy who was an energy balancer, and he said that the Kundalini energy was getting caught in my heart. So he had me do some exercises that opened it up. And when he touched me on my spine and opened something up, the energy just flooded my being. I was out of pain. All this energy just flooded into my awareness, and the pain dissipated. Every now and then it'll come, but it generally means that I'm going to another level. That the energy's
level up.
Leveling up. I have a little bit of pain, but not like it was years ago, just a little bit. And so I take care of the temple, take care of the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, so I can hold more energy, so that it comes through. And you integrate, embody, and then it becomes a way of living. No one even knows unless, like I get to share on a regular basis about it. But now, back then, I was like you. People thought I was nuts, man. They said, I was facing a case. I had opened up my last drug deal.
Oh.
I got busted.
Lord, what?
And I told the guy, I'm through. I'm not
always
doing
the last one, right?
It's always the last one. I said, I'm not doing
You start
this.
praying, God, this is the last one I'm doing.
No, it was it. I'd had my opening. I said, no, I'm not doing this. And they said, but you're such an honest man. We make so much money with you, blah, blah, blah. I said, this is not my destiny, man.
You want to know what made me get sober this last time, and the way I know it's real, is I came and did an interview with him one day with one of my really good friends, and we talked about spirituality for an hour, and I was damn near still up from the night before.
Right.
And I know you invite us to come still up. You say it in church. I don't care what y'all did last night. It's what you do right now. Let's get here.
Right.
But I was like, I felt so guilty, and I could feel it. I was like, this is not right. I can't do this. I need to do this.
And just now we spoke about it, so then bring it up.
Yeah,
You're
but
real.
Numbing yourself against something that's trying to happen through you.
You can't
Thank you
walk
for
this
bringing that
walk
up, bro.
bullshit, and you got to be, like when I go to church, I cry, bro. Like I don't go there just to be seen and kind of feel good for the afternoon.
Right.
I go to purge, I go to gain, I go to listen.
Right.
And if I'm blocking it with chemicals and alcohol, that just doesn't make any sense because I don't have a stop button.
Right.
I don't. Oh, that's wine is great. Thank you so much. How's the cheese? That's not what I do. I grab.
You drink the whole bottle.
Yeah, I grab the bottle, and then I grab another bottle, and then I'm grabbing a bottle on the way out the door, and then you could be like, "Hey, Eddie, have a great night," and I'm like, "What that nigga say to me? What'd you call me?" That's not who I want to be anymore. I've
Right.
already evolved past that, but I let substances just kind of get in the way.
Yeah.
Kilu knows. He's probably seen me wild out a couple times unnecessarily. I don't know if you know, but we go way back since the early days. I think we've probably done a lot of events together. I think the Mayan, Jamaica House, like we were hanging tough, Pops. We were hanging tough. How is it to be his, like how's that the dynamic here?
I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Who asked me that? That's a frequent. What's it like growing? I can answer that so many ways.
He went through his change and you were younger, so you kind of like, you were a little bit,
Yeah,
like,
it's all
what,
you know.
5-6 years old?
Yeah.
About, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else.
I mean, I think it's an interesting time now for us because everyone's waking up and
This
it's
is the
just,
time.
Yeah.
This is the time.
And that's
because-
why I'm
yeah.
excited to have him here and us having this. I would have never dreamed this is possible in our lifetime. I thought we'd have to wait forever. And here we are now,
Right.
able to close. This gap is closing.
Right.
And the influence that we have and all of us in this room and the things that we do it's
What a trip.
it is. And I look forward to our journey because I know this isn't
This is the beginning of something.
not where
Right.
it's going to stop. You know?
Totally.
Well, the Earth is oscillating at a much higher frequency. And the Earth is alive.
It is.
And so the Earth is waiting for humanity to catch up. And those that can't rise to that vibration are going to suffer anxiety and worry, fear, because the frequency is really high. So we're being invited to go through this kind of opening so that we can vibrate at the next level.
Sustain.
Because, right now the planet, there's a difference between the world and the Earth. The Earth is mother. We're all earthlings. But the world is what we create in our minds.
Yeah.
People are in different worlds standing on the planet. But the world is in a dark night of the soul. And so, which is good, which means that there's a birth of something new happening now.
Yeah.
And this is why you see the systemic issues that we can see now we couldn't see before. The racism, the bigotry, the hate is rising up to be healed.
Yeah.
Because before it was hidden in the closet. People tried to hide it. You can't hide it anymore.
No.
So the dark night is giving way to the next level of our human capacities. And so, I'm more than hopeful. I have a tremendous vision of what's happening. But the people who are stuck, they're going through some changes.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I mean, I think it's interesting, like you can't do anything anymore without it being exposed.
No,
like
everything's good.
whether it's the camera or it's people not afraid to tell, and it's a shame that it was ever in that place where you went to school and your preacher or your teacher or, preyed upon you and you were just kind of stuck with no outlets. But now that we're wide awake, it's like we know the difference between right and wrong in a way that we'd never known it before.
Right.
And we're willing to stand up for it.
Yeah. 10 years ago, I mean, even longer than that. If something happened, it took like 10 years to be revealed.
Yeah.
Now it's like
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
He did it.
which is
He
great.
did it.
Yeah.
We have it on tape.
Yeah,
It's
I
all-
mean, that's an interesting one.
But it's like going from analog to digital. And so
Right.
the way we receive information and youngsters receive information is you can get so much information with one click that you could never get in a lifetime before.
Right,
You get
right.
800,000 results. You
Right.
couldn't go through that in a lifetime. And
Right.
so people are getting this information so quickly and it's changing our consciousness.
Right.
And so that's what I feel what we're feeling is this like rapid ascension of people, the way we're like able to get this information.
This information is out there faster.
Oh yeah.
Speaking
People are-
of that, what do you think about this kid, Chakra Zuma? Okay, there's a dude in Dallas. His name is Juan Johnson. He has this song called Wahe Guru, and he's rapping. It sounds like a trap song, and he's like, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe, 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 Wahe Guru. And these sata, and the Kundalini Sikhs in the world is it's disrespectful to them.
Oh.
But to me, I hear a song that if it was on the radio, his rap is decent.
The words are nice. The words are.
Yeah, the rap is
The
decent.
rap is in.
But
Okay.
the
He's not
hook
being
is bomb.
disrespectful.
He's just
Not at
bringing
all.
the.
He's not being
But
disrespectful.
He's
I'm
bringing
imagining,
information out in a
but
different
imagine
way.
the youth
Exactly.
group at Agape listening to this
He's
song
artist.
and the kids doing the whatever the dances
Why?
are. I'm seeing that in my head, and
You
I'm
just
like,
brought it to my attention. They will be doing it.
yes.
Right?
I mean, look, I reached out to me, dude. I'm like, I hit him on Instagram, like, holler at me, bro, because I'm ready to talk to you, because I've been thinking about making an urban record. I think I even spoke to you about this. Like, me and you could probably cut 3 songs and have an EP out there that would spread the energy like you've never seen before. He has Snoop Dogg gin and juice, but it's like sipping on green and fruits. And he's like, I got my mantra, my mantra on my mind and my mind on my mind. Or what is it?
Oh, that's great.
Instead of money on my mind.
Right.
That's great.
I mean,
I love it.
Man, look.
Can I
come
get
on,
it?
Give it up. Yes. We'll play it in a minute. Why don't you cue it up? But when I heard that, they're tripping. I'm like, you can't speak to the kids of our, below our generation with the Sikh symbols and the turbans. They're just not going to hear you. There's already something there emotionally.
They're not religious. They're not into religiosity.
Yeah.
They're into direct contact, direct encounter with life, reality, love, peace, joy. The religious trappings are not going to be this way when you look to the society in the future.
Looking forward.
There'll be museums of how we got there.
Yeah.
You see, you'll be in a museum, and your great-great-grandparents would say, "Now here, Christianity, Judaism, here's Sikhism." They were, they're all kind of saying the same thing. Why would they kind of fighting with each other a little bit?
I think I heard you say that in church.
Yeah,
too.
and they'll say, well, listen, that's how it was not then, but that's not how it is
You
now.
got it? Let's listen to it. I want to get the Revs and Kilu, especially Kilu being a hip hop artist with,
Say that at Texas.
I don't know where he's out of, but he's.
Rev, you ever feel like you were sent back from the future?
That's an interesting question. I have a tendency to see the future sometimes, so maybe that's where I'm coming back from. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when he was talking, I realized I'd seen this already.
Well, that's how I was looking at your
That's
expressions
right.
and what you were saying. And that's what just
I wish
prompted
I
me
had
to say
seen
that.
this already. You know
Yeah.
why? Because I would have been so much more at ease for the last 10 years since I walked through that door, bro.
Yeah,
I'd have
but
been like,
you would-
don't worry, I can do anything I want
Yeah,
now. Because one day I'm going to be sitting across the table really getting it versus, losing
Yeah, but
track.
you would, your lesson was in the, your blessing was in the lesson.
We're doing a
Real
music
talk.
festival and an art festival
Yeah.
on November 16th called The Space Between with Disclosure Fest. Are you familiar with Disclosure Fest?
No, I'm not.
They're
It's a conscious spiritual festival. He's built quite a community. He did a massive meditation with 22,000 people downtown in the park. No alcohol, no drugs,
I think I was aware of that.
within limit.
like knock over and play.
And it's all spiritual. He does art and he does music.
Who is he?
His name's Adrian. I don't know his last
Valera.
name. Valera. He's our partner on this event, and probably hopefully a lot of other things. Because when I met him, I'm like the tough spiritual dude. Like I'm sizing everybody up. I don't care who you are and what you're wearing. I'm like, all right, yeah.
Are you real or
right.
not?
Yeah. And he said something to me, which we talked about it. He said, it's not really a wake up for me or an opening. It's remembering who you really are. And when he said that, I thought of you because I found out who I really was in that room.
Right.
At least I got that first glimpse where I was like,
Yeah.
did I really forget about that little
Yeah, you
dude
got an
that
activation.
had an afro and corduroys on when I was
Yeah.
a kid that wasn't scared or
Yeah, it's an
angry?
activation.
Yeah.
Like when I'm speaking, there's an energy coming through. It's it's actually making people remember who they are. And I put it in bite-sized pieces so that they think they know it already. What they do on a soul level. So what happens is they nod their head like this, yeah. And things are activated and they start to remember what they already know. I'm not
Yeah.
giving them nothing.
And it's a climb. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's it. And when he said that, I was like, damn, the Rev said that, but different.
Yeah.
Like, and then immediately I was like, you my homie now. I need to be around you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As much as I can because that's a different way of putting it. That brings it back to you.
So when is
versus
this happening? November what?
November
15th and 16th. You in town?
I'm going to check and see.
Because what we were thinking, is maybe we could get you guys to come out and do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. But Snoop Dogg's DJing.
We partnered up with Akon Lighting Africa. So Akon
yeah.
Lighting America is going to
He's doing
become a
good work.
reality.
Yeah, I like it.
So
No,
we're
it's
going to
his brother
bring
over there, right?
that's Akon's brother. It's Omar.
He's doing good work.
I
So
am
we're going to
King
bring
Omar.
solar power to lower income neighborhoods.
I love it.
So we're calling it Light Up LA. But we're also going to bring a panel out there of speakers to talk about awakenings and doctors so that we could come up with an alternative so that when we go in and we're going through this, that the medical world can say, hey,
A second opinion.
a second opinion.
Like you said,
and this is important. If,
pathological.
like for us as human beings to
Or
keep
this-
to move on,
Right.
if you don't change the system, it's like we can do these beautiful things all day long, but
You got to go outside the system.
Yeah,
The second opinion.
exactly.
Will
but,
be the
but
first
to have
opinion.
it, but
Yeah.
After
to-
a while.
Should
But
be.
even if you go, I just went to a Sikh doctor, right, for 30 years, new Yogi G. I went to him, and this is what I was sitting there talking to him, and I started explaining my situation, and then Eastern Western medicine, he could say my body, give me things to eat, but when it comes to mind, he's got to send me to a psychiatrist. And I was like, my man, I go, if I go there, they're going to give me medication, and he put his head down. I'm like, there's nothing, huh? And he goes, no, go talk to Guru Singh, and I'm like, but there's nothing that you guys could do. So I'd go back to the emergency room, then back to 5150. And I think that that's important because we have to shed some light on this for kids. Like, think of all the just go look at me, people diagnosed with bipolar disorder 1.
Right.
We're all spiritual beings, right? Having a human experience. So that means we're passing through, right? So this is a human experience. Like I would say, a hearse will have luggage racks, but you think you're taking everything with you, wherever that came from.
Right.
Once you get rid of that and you chill out on the attachments and you know that you're not in control,
Right.
that's part of the steps, right? You start to go, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's an order we all depend on, but we don't make that order happen.
Right.
We learn to lean on it,
Think we do.
which is surrender.
Right.
Yeah.
You let go, and then beyond your imagination, good starts to flow into your life. So we have, as you know, we have practitioners at Agape, and many of them are trained to be able to spot an opening, and then assist the person going through the steps, going through the stages, to embrace the opening. But in the system, it's not there. They don't even study that. It's not even. You have a few doctors who've broken free from the system because they had openings themselves. I've interviewed a couple. One died, came back to life, and when he came back totally different because he saw the deal.
Yeah.
You
got a download.
Yeah, he got the download, and
So the guy
Anita Morjani, same thing. She died of cancer.
The guy Adrian from Disclosure Fest was abducted by aliens, and he got some information while he was gone, and that's what changed his life. Because before that, he was producing House of Pain shows in Hollywood, and hanging out and rock starring it up, and then all of a sudden he switched angles, gave up everything he was doing before, and
You
now
saw. Once you
he
see,
does
you
a
can't
free
unsee it.
show. It's a
You
free
can't unsee it.
festival.
No, you
That
can't
is
go
the
back.
truth.
It's like, that's what I said.
Good question. I
lost all my friends. Once you see
I
it, you
call them
can't.
rotten avocados. They fall by the wayside. Like,
Bam.
Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but when I started having like friends that were my friends for my whole life, and I was talking to them, and I could see like the lights were up there. I was like, and it was almost like, oh wow, this is wild. And everything, like I said, I kept saying everything I said. I felt it's like they were looking at me like I was more crazy because the things I said, they just didn't understand it.
Yeah, but I mean, to put some context, and I think I already did, I cannot explain enough to you about that dude not being that dude. You understand? Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm not that dude. That dude was way more not that dude than I was. Okay, like, I worked for him.
He had a real
he didn't work for
transformation.
me. This dude was like,
I mean,
you were late with the money. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
understand.
don't be an hour late.
I was in that world a
Yeah,
minute for a minute.
don't be an hour late. I mean, for real. And if you $20 short, he's like, go to your car and get some change out there.
but
Figure it out.
It's really though because I used to look at that, and because of those things, I felt that I wasn't worthy of anything, and I felt less than. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't go to
Right.
school.
Right.
So then I always felt that people were going to come take everything I had. Like I didn't feel it was supposed to be mine.
Right.
And that was a trip to have these things and feel like I earned them, but it's like they could be taken away at any time. And I think that was just me, freaking out because I had no real education.
Yeah. You didn't see yourself properly.
No.
Because most of the people that are untrained through college or whatever their training is are more apt to be wide open, soulful artists. Because once you get trained, you suffer from what is called paradigm blindness. You can't see outside of that present paradigm. It's like many of the doctors, they can't see outside of their medical training.
Right.
Lawyers can't see out of their lawyer training. And so you had an opening, but you didn't have that much to unlearn other than the code of the streets.
Right.
So you were more free than most people, which is good.
I got really drunk one night and I pulled a pistol out on like 4 or 5 of my friends in my man's house,
Right.
over something real silly.
Right.
And I put everybody on the floor. you know, and I'm out of my mind at the time. I'm like, everybody's going, get on the ground. They're like, what? I'm like, I'm not playing. And I was out of my head, literally, like, I don't know what happened. And my girlfriend said, you need to go to Kundalini. No, she's like, I'm not going to date you anymore. And it was the girl who had the gallery with that you met.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not going to date you anymore if you don't go to Kundalini. You're not just going to go, you're going to go. And I went in, I was like, I'm not worthy. I was like, you know, there's a lot of ways I can describe it, but I just didn't feel worthy. So I started doing privates with my teacher. And after a long, 6 months, I was in there. She's like, Eddie, you know what? You're worthy. You're more worthy than a lot of other people in this room because you need it more. And she was like, and not only that, you're good for the community because you're not the normal dude that's in here going to Erewhon.
That's
and
what I'm
getting
talking
the green
about.
juice, you know, and wearing the baggy white clothes. She's like, there's room in this community for spiritual warriors because we need a line of defense at every level.
Right.
And when she said that, it cracked me open. I was like, all right, cool. Where do I sign up? Like, what do I need to do? You know, and it slowly but surely, I kind of forgave myself for the things that I went through and my past life, or the ego death, or the past human experience, or the different direction that I was.
Well, you're more trustworthy too. People who go through a lot of stuff, and they come through it.
Yeah.
You can trust them.
Yeah.
People who haven't gone through nothing, you don't know what they're going to do when you're in the foxhole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they haven't gone through nothing. You know, they're going to freak out. They're going to, not cover your back. But once you've gone through some stuff, way more trustworthy.
Dependable. Yeah, because
And you have a more calm way about it.
And you know everything's going to be okay.
Right.
yeah, because
you
you've
done
already
been-
freaked
you done
out a
been
thousand
through.
times.
You done been through the stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's a difference between consciousness and content. It's like there's a difference between the ocean and the pollution in the ocean.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so awakening happens when you're able to separate yourself from the content of your mind. I'm sad, this is happening, that's happening. Once you're able to see that that's not you,
Yeah.
that's content,
Yeah.
perceptions, points of view, your analysis of past experiences, that's all content.
Yeah.
But an average individual can't tell themselves the difference between the two. So they end up experiencing their content over and over again.
I think I heard you say that recently.
Yeah, but once you are able to separate yourself from the content, which is why you meditate,
Right.
which is why you pray, which is why you do the work that you do, then you can be in the joy, even though the content has produced experience. You may not like that experience, but you're able to watch it over here.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then this starts to dissolve.
Yeah, disassociate to a certain
And
extent.
that's why when you have an opening, your life falls apart. Because your life has been built on your previous identity.
Right.
And now the new identity is taken over, so the old stuff is starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
So it crumbles. And then you rebuild it, but it's built on much more solid ground.
Yeah. That's why when I walked away, because I wanted them to really understand what I was going through, and so money was very important because it helped us where we got. So I had to keep it going. And then even when I said take it, I wanted them to understand. But the money thing just at that time became less important to me, and that was what made me look weird because they were like everything besides that was about that.
No, I understand it, man. It's the same thing. I so much money in my pocket all the time. Took care of the people around me.
Right.
Oh, you want to go to Hawaii? Hey, go. You need some pair of shoes? Here, let me get them for you.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then when I opened up, I said, man, everybody's tripping on money. Nobody's tripping on their soul. So now I want money, but it's to serve better.
Right.
I need Agape to be stronger.
Yeah.
But money just for money's sake.
You
that's an
always
addiction.
say
It's an
God
addiction.
wants you to be rich.
Yeah.
Because then you can help.
Yeah, you can.
You have resources.
You have resources. You can help build the world
Yeah.
that
you
works
want.
for everybody.
Yeah. That you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're always hustling to make money, that's a waste of time. You're not able to fulfill your giftedness.
You know what's funny is Johnny Parker.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a nightclub on Pico and Robertson called The Joint.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny used to come in all the time. The significance of that is, I was least likely to hang out with some old black men when I was ever. It's just not my thing. I'd rather be young and hip and vibrant. So here I find myself hanging out with Johnny and with my partner who's 70 and Bob Marley's cousin Ala Rasai, right? This is where we go to the love part, right? Which I talk about. So I'm in the room and I'm seeing how these Rastafarian dudes are treating each other because it's a reggae bar and they're like king and lion and
Right.
So my partner says to me, "Do you think everybody likes you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course they do." I'll give you the short version. "Yeah, of course they do." He said, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, everybody likes me." Kilu should have heard
He's like,
this,
"Really?"
right? I'm gonna back it up. So when I owned The Joint, my partner,
That's right.
Sire, came to me and said, "Do you think everybody that works for you likes you?" And I said,
Cole
"Of course."
Robertson.
Yeah. I said, "Of course they do." And he said, "Well, really?" I said, "Yeah, of course they like me. I give them shoes and I buy them food." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Well, let's do something. Let's go ask everybody that's working right now if they like you with no consequence. You got to promise me you won't get mad, say nothing, fire them." I said, "Cool." All 4 people said no.
They said they don't like you.
2 of them said they just didn't like me because I was an asshole. And the other 2 said because they were afraid of me.
Yeah, so they were into fear. No.
So what he said is, okay, so you spend all this time posturing, being this bad dude that's got everybody shook. Imagine if you turn that and you put that same energy into love.
Mm-hmm.
Blew me wide open. I was like, wow, I had never really thought about being a kind person. I was always trying to get over, get them more pieces of pizza, or, you know, get you out on the drink, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, get bigger percentage of the door at the end of the night, you know? And that was one of my stepping stones to you know, to be where I am now.
Yeah.
And Johnny was there to witness it all, because
Yeah,
he used
yeah.
to come in all the time.
Yeah, you woke up.
Yeah, I did. That was one of those, like you say, level up.
Yeah, you leveled up, man. How can I serve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I serve?
Yeah. And it was a trip to, thank you, Chaz, for coming in. It had something to do with the way you communicate and your understanding, your intellect, the science of an awakening, I'd say.
Yeah.
So after I listened to that, because I think that the only thing that people put together with it outside of it, because when we started the show, the first person we interviewed was my ex-wife of 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were like, what are you thinking? Like, you're done. And I knew it was kind of walking into the gauntlet to a certain extent. But I wanted to know what she was seeing and what they saw.
Mhm.
Because as much as I felt I was acting normal, I was not.
That's very interesting, because his mother saw me go through all of these changes.
Mm.
She saw me go. One time I came in from a meditation retreat. I went to and I came home. We had some company. So I said, let me put my bags down. So I went in the back, put my bags down, but I laid on my bed for a moment, and I got pulled into this tremendous light. And I started asking questions. And before I could ask the question, the answer would come. This went on for hours. I'm just listening, I'm just getting these downloads. And then this thought went across my mind. I got people in the living room. You're being rude. So I was lowered back down from the light, and I ran into the living room, and I started telling everybody, you don't have anything to worry about. You've never been born. You'll never suffer a death. All the fear and the doubt and the worry, it's all an illusion. I'm going on.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, because to me, I'd been gone hours, but for them, it was just 5 minutes.
Mm.
So I said to his mother one day, years later, I said, when I was going through all of that, what did you think about me? She said, I knew you weren't lying. I just thought you were crazy. She said, she knew me so well. So I knew you weren't lying, but I thought you were crazy. So it's like what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
They didn't know what I was going through, but she knew it was real to me.
Right, that they knew exactly.
Yeah, it was real.
And it's
to me.
hard because it feels so real, right? So you see these visions, you start to go, because I was talking about some way out shit.
Right.
But it felt real, like I was seeing past lives.
Yeah.
And so I was expressing to them because I couldn't tell anyone else, and they knew me the best that anyone, and so when I said it, and it seemed so normal, but when they were looking at me, I go, what? Oh, Dad, swords, King Arthur, like, yo, you trip. Like, yeah. Just say maybe a book.
You having to bleed through,
Yeah,
from
right.
other realities.
They're like, yo, you.
But people can only see the paradigm that their own perception, their own beliefs, their own points of view, their own way they've been educated or miseducated.
Mm.
So when you jump out of that, you're way over here. You're seeing more of reality. They're only seeing here.
Yeah.
So the people here think over here is crazy
Absolutely.
until they start to open themselves.
And
Other
that's
than
really
that,
expanded consciousness.
expanding
That's what's
consciousness,
happening.
Yeah.
expanding your awareness. Like we see like this, then we have an insight, then we see this. We have an insight, and we see this. And pretty soon, or after a while, as you integrate, you just see more of that which is real, reality with a capital R,
Yeah.
not our little reality that we're creating with our minds.
Yeah.
It's big.
It's like
And
driving around in the city and then being able to get into a helicopter. You ever been in a helicopter?
Yeah,
And
of
see-
course.
Like, oh, this is how it's
Yeah,
mapped
that's
out.
what it
This
looks
is
like,
this is
and
what
how
it really.
simple it is to get from A to Z.
Yeah,
Because you don't
We're
have
in
to
the
go
treadmill
through
of
which
life
way,
going,
who's
oh,
doing
left on
what,
the
why.
right. Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'll tell you, I went to Coachella. We took a helicopter shit, coming home from Coachella is a nightmare, but boy, it sure was nice on that helicopter looking at the traffic on the 10.
Here's the deal. So you went on a helicopter.
Yeah.
And now you're doing your work to integrate that.
So you just said something that's really important, and I was listening to what he said, because ultimately it's like when you look out, it's like past, present, future. That's really what it's like, right? So when someone asked me, "What did you see 3 years ago?" Well, it's like having this. You could see, your point of view from up here, right? And I went wham. So I woke up and I seen all these things, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the Trump the president, and he's gonna do some bad shit, and did it, and they're like, what the
Yeah, he
fuck?
predicted the earthquake,
I was
the last
doing all
earthquake
kinds,
we had.
and then they're like, what's happening? Where are you getting all this? I'm like, I don't know.
He predicted the last earthquake within like days.
Mm-hmm.
He went and bought a bunch of water. He bought propane. He's telling me, Eddie, be sure, come over my house tonight. It's going to happen. And he was off by like a couple days, but he was like, something big is going to happen. I'm telling you, buy water and be prepared.
Right.
And sure enough, it happened. And he hit me. And my phone goes off. He goes, what did I tell you? And I'm like, he's all, come over. And I'm like, wow, this fool is really nuts,
But the next time, you know what? Because what happens is ego starts playing with that a little bit. The next time I'm telling my son, I felt something else coming. Something big.
Yeah.
I said, I feel it, because once that happened, I'm bringing water to their house. I'm like, I'm telling you guys. Well, I said it was the 6th. And we were supposed to release the 6th when we started. And I'm like, I got to get it before the 6th, because this thing I see happening. It happened the next month, like on July 4th is when they both happened.
Yes, it was a month off.
Right.
And
which is pretty accurate.
I was in my, so they were starting to trip.
Better than
so
I
they
am.
were like, yeah, that's, and so I started to kind of go, okay, but then I started picking up on something else again. So I'm like, now I'm going, okay, wait, let me see here now, right? I want to play with this. I just felt something else big coming. I told Omar, I was like, dude, I didn't know it was my mom.
Your mom was shedding the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was saying these things, and that was the
Personal.
weekend I told my son, and then all of a sudden, like you see, and I was like, yeah.
You got a personal hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a couple quick questions, right? Like I like to ask people things that are challenging to a certain extent, right? If you could pinpoint one moment in your journey, in your life, that stands out the most, whether it's good, bad, I don't know, just like that one thing, that one point in your life that's, I don't know.
I'd have to go back to that moment when I was attending USC and I was stabbed in the heart.
Playing ping pong.
And I woke up and could see. That changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from getting ready to graduate from school to changing my whole life to what happened to me. And I went on a discovery of what happened. And that's when I bumped into all the mystics of the ages and how they were all saying the same thing. And it kept happening to me. So like he was talking about, I didn't have any friends to really deal with all of that. I didn't have any professionals to say this is what's going on. I had to navigate through that stuff myself. With people looking at me like, this guy's weird.
Yeah.
And so I bumped into people who were psychics, who were running it down. I walked into this church one time, and this guy, he would give psychic readings after he gave his talk. So I walked in the room, and he said, Michael, God sent you here. You have the spirit of Dr. King in your aura. You're going to develop a spiritual center that's going to help heal the world. Now, understand, I just woke up.
Yeah.
So I said, this guy's not talking about me. I'm definitely never going to be a minister. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But I said, how did he know my name? And everything that he said has come true. I started running into people like that.
Wow.
That started giving me this feedback as to what had happened to me. And then I started grounding myself and study and practice, meditation, until it got stabilized so I could actually hold a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually look normal, even though I wasn't. I worked for a city councilman for 5 years and did a lot of extraordinary things outside the box because I was there to serve. But at lunchtime, I was teaching people metaphysics. They'd come into my office and I'd start teaching them all kinds of stuff, the way the universe was really made up, and developed a whole senior citizen program. The councilman got nervous because I was so popular in the community that he had to let me go because he thought I would beat him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even trying to run for an
Yeah, he
office.
tried to put the lights out on you. That's not cool.
No, wasn't even trying to run for an office at all, But that would be the moment.
The moment.
Now, I could go back to when I was younger and see where those moments were trying to happen, but I would squash them.
Yeah.
You know,
Just out of not understanding.
I didn't understand it. I was 11 years old in Washington, D.C., where my family's from. It was my birthday, or close to it. And my grandmother had sent me to the store to buy something, and I was in one aisle. But I could see in my mind that the stock boy in the next aisle was about to drop the baby food. So I ran around and I caught it.
Yeah, you said that.
Said, how'd you do that?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, how did you do that? I couldn't explain it.
But did he do that when you went?
No, he just
You
picked it
said
up.
no. Well, he said that not this month.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was just recanting that story.
Oh, remembering.
And so when I'm walking towards my uncle, Abdul Rahman Bey, with my uncles, my grandmother Fanny, my mother Alice, and I'm looking at my mother and she's looking at her son. My grandmother's looking at her grandson. My uncle's looking at his nephew. But I wasn't any of that. I was expanded. So I was getting closer to them. I said, what am I going to do? I'm not who they think I am. I capitulated. I forced myself back to be my mother's son. My grandson, the grandson of my grandmother, and the nephew of my uncle. I just forced myself back into this box and became like however I was supposed to act.
Yeah.
And that happened a few times, even in my teen years. But when it happened then, I was out, never went
Yeah,
back
it was
in.
too. Couldn't close it.
Couldn't close the
Couldn't
door. Didn't want to close the door.
Yeah.
You know, bliss. Most people don't get a chance to taste bliss. Bliss. And when you get to bliss, which is the function of the activation of your potential,
That's where I'm at.
phew,
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I go to these sober meetings and I don't want to share because I don't want to make these other dudes feel bad because I'm not singing that sorry song anymore.
but you need to share
I know.
because AA is built on spiritual principles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bill W. and Ernest Holmes were tight.
Yeah.
You know, most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And so when you get to that surrender stage,
I mean, that's where I'm at.
you got to share that. It's like this. You're planting seeds. They're not going to get it at that moment, maybe. But down the line, they'll say, oh, my God, this is what that brother was talking about. Let me find him. Where is he?
I mean, I can honestly, Rev, every single day since I got sober, something fantastic has happened to me.
Yeah.
God shots, 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
Contrary action, it's all contrary action.
Yeah.
Everything I'm doing is what I wasn't doing before, and that's why I believe I'm being rewarded in the way that I am.
Yeah. But here's the deal. The presence of God is always giving. It doesn't have a withhold button. It doesn't have a stop. So you're just becoming a bigger vessel to see it happening. Whereas before you were dodging it. Because you were
No more
controlling your own
dodgeball.
life.
No more dodgeball.
It's
Well, that's what it
always
says
happening.
in the beginning. It's like surrender your will.
Yeah.
That's you know.
Become
there's-
willing and let go of willfulness.
Yeah. That's
Willfulness
step
creates
two.
a wall. Willingness creates a way.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's also those blurred lines with addiction and spirituality.
Oh, yeah.
People, self,
Yeah, when they
losing-
want that first hit, which is a moment of expansion, and they're actually trying to get a spiritual awakening, but they don't know that's what they're trying to get. So
Yeah.
they become addicted to the high rather than they're trying to take the helicopter without
Yeah.
doing the work. Without doing the work.
Yeah. the
I heard
fast
that
lane.
before.
All right, so let me ask you this. If there was one person you've met in your life that was a teacher that you think had the most impact or a lot of impact, because I'm sure there's a bunch. But
There's a bunch.
if you had, who's the one? Like, even if they're not a teacher, maybe it's Oprah. I don't know.
I'd have to first acknowledge my mom.
Right on.
Who carried a lot of psychic energy and saw a lot in me and always brought me back to myself. I'd have to acknowledge my dad because he was a man of integrity. If he said he was going to do A, he did A. It was no waffling, So I was fortunate to be in a family of unconditional love. When I got busted selling drugs, my father came and got me out. He smiled at me. He didn't even berate me, And we had to, do what we had to do.
Yeah.
But I met some great people. About 2 years ago, I had a vision, and these people were reaching from the other side, shaking my hand. And then when I woke up, I realized I had met them all. When I was 11, I met Dr. King at Homeless Methodist Church, shook his hand. Now I work with his son. I've worked with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. I facilitated 4 major meetings, world leaders with him. I met Nelson Mandela. I met Arya Ratne, who ended the caste system in Sri Lanka. I met some powerful people that are so humble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They teach me humility because they've done like these great things, but they're not into I'm all that.
Yeah.
They're into it's all that.
Yeah.
You know, and Dick Gregory, good buddy of mine, had a lot of impact on my life. You know, so I've met a lot of people. Homer Johnson, somebody, most people don't know who he is, but he was a great mystic. You know, and he taught me a lot. So I honor all these people.
Yeah.
They're
Good.
like, you know,
Good. I figured that would be a tough one.
you know, that's hard. You know, it's a hard one. Yeah.
Yep. Well, Joey, what else you got?
I'll keep going. That is interesting because the reason why I asked you that is having people on this plane and then all of a sudden them coming back and having that, just because of my recent experience of understanding passing, is just so beautiful. It's so different. It's just so different. And it's, to express it, it's hard because my sister and other people are feeling that. So when you're saying about these 3 women, and how interesting, because you meditated with them.
Yes.
They found their way right.
Yes. And now I call upon them. I communicate with them. Dorothy Larkin Hill, Ethel Franklin, Blanche Nelson, they're part of the rhythm of my flow. Patty Ballard, Carol Traylor, Nirvana Gale, part of the rhythm of my flow. Laveda Lynn Campbell, Lissa Sprinkles, my mom. They're more real to me now than they were then. You know, because there's no personality issues. There's no body getting tired. There's no opinions. It's just pure love.
Yes.
Pure wisdom, pure guidance, pure, we got you back, you know. And so I'll sit and go into meditation. And, you know, when I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I open up myself to gratitude. Just very grateful to be alive, awake, aware. And then I surrender to the presence. I call God the presence that's never an absence. It's the presence that's never an absence. And then I say, what's my assignment today? Bring it on. I'm ready. And then I will meditate and I'll commune with these various beings, but then I go directly to the presence. I bypass the guardian angels, the archangels, the friends, then I go directly to the presence and sit and hang with the presence that's never an absence. And then I go on into my day.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting is that you mentioned these beautiful women that you had a relationship with that helped you and still continue to help you. And here we are in a state of the world where it's time for women to help us on this physical presence.
This is the time.
Because we need help. You know, we've shown that we can't figure it out in some of these situations. A little more love and compassion would go a long way.
You know, the thing about, you know, the divine feminine is rising now. And it's important because a woman will take care of, a sane woman, a woman anchored in her feminine energy, will take care of the family before she takes care of herself. The Lone Ranger patriarchal man will try to take care of himself first before he takes care of the family oftentimes, you know. And so the feminine energy that's rising now, it's necessary, as you're saying, for the evolution of our species.
Yeah.
Without it, we're doomed.
Yeah, that's right. Amen.
We're doomed. And there's more women on the planet. As they become more conscious, as they break free from the mental chains of the men, they can multitask, they think freer, they're creative, they birth babies.
They'll start taking care of our children. They'll start educating the youth.
They'll take care of the
They'll make
nation.
sure our kids are healthy and eating well.
Absolutely.
Maybe we need to put yoga in elementary level
Yoga,
school.
meditation, Tai Chi.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
All of it,
Because
all of it.
imagine
Correction of
if
facilities
imagine
is
if
important.
Absolutely.
imagine if meditation was mandatory.
Yeah.
Forget go play kickball.
Right.
You're gonna sit down and be quiet for 30. Not take a nap. Sit down and listen to some mantra for 30 minutes between class. Do you know the humans the different experience we'd be having during this human experience?
Be activating our potential.
We spoke with Amanda Sage. I don't know if you know who she is. She's an artist. She's like Alex Gray. She does this really great, like esoteric, deep look into a DMT
Sacred
world.
geometry. Like,
Yeah. And she said she belonged to a school, and that was what they did when they
Did
were
she go to,
kids.
was it Maharishi School or something?
That's something like that. I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. And she said she
I
did a
went
vision
there.
quest
Oh,
at.
really?
I mean, not to school. I mean, they brought me there.
She
To,
said she did a
okay.
vision
She was
quest when she was young, like super young, and it was supervised, and it was only one night. But she said she saw things, and that's in her DNA now because
Yes.
it wasn't after she had made a shit ton of mistakes like me, and had a lot of regret. And like, let's imagine it's a toilet. Well, my toilet was full and still got some shit in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hers was not full. It
Right.
just was going.
yeah.
And I just, I have 19 to 16-year-old daughters. You have kids too. Like, can you imagine if we were giving them what the skills that they really need to survive versus the skills they need to exist in
Thrive.
the system?
And that's what the show's about on November 16th is actually to bring things like this to people's awareness, because inner cities, they don't have the opportunity to go down to the street and go to Whole Foods really, or get things like sustainable living
In
products.
the food
that are-
desert.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's really making it available
Right.
in ways. And so, I was in Egypt and this girl starts talking about Akon. I heard Akon's music, right? So I'm like, yeah. She goes, you know what he's doing in Africa? I'm like, he's lighting houses up and da-da-da. So she says this, now I'm all lit up. I'm like, within like 7 days, I leave Egypt. I'm sitting in Akon's house. We're talking with Omar. Next thing we're talking about is
Just
working
doing something together.
is working on this project to bring solar power into lower income neighborhoods. And what he did in Africa, let's do it here in America.
Right.
And that was what the idea was. And so that the event on November 15th and 16th is called Lighting Up LA. Get lit. The lit campaign is more of like an awake campaign.
Right.
Get lit.
A new understanding of getting lit.
Yeah.
There it is, right there. And it's important for us, I think, to because I look at Eddie, look at me, and I go like, wow, this happened to us, dude. This can happen to anybody. Like,
Right.
and then you got
That's how
all
I
this
felt.
shit going on. I'm like, yo.
I say that all the time.
We got some
If it-
superpowers. Like, no one's telling us we have instruments, so we're putting all this shit in. And then after it all clears out, I was like, yo, there's all kinds of things happening out here. Like, we're instruments, antennas,
Right.
getting information, but we're not being shown the right way how to properly use it.
Right.
And but what we're actually trying to do, what really, like, you wake up every day, right? It's like a feeling you get. And you start to feel really good one day, and you're like, God, what did I eat? How can I feel like that again?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
What
this.
kind of beer was that?
Right. It's just like this thing swinging inside your mind, body, soul, and you kind of get these tinges of feeling good. All of a sudden, like, it was when that awakening happened, it felt like it started swinging together, and I was like, oh, this is what that was. I kept getting like glimpses of it, so I try to find and put things in my body to find it.
Right.
Was this it?
But
Was
it's
this
you.
It? It was me. It was inside.
The answer is you.
Kept reaching out for things to put inside my body to make me feel that way.
Right.
And
And that develops the addictive behavior.
yeah.
But when you realize it's you, your body will produce DMT. Your body will produce anything you need.
But I didn't think I was worthy. So
Right.
how was I going to think that I could actually do it? I
Right.
didn't love myself.
Right. So did you go through a period of self-forgiveness?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to always go through that, this forgive ourselves. Because all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And then you come back to the innocence that's always been there, that's never been touched. And now you're expressing differently. Yeah. Yeah, I had to do all of that.
Yeah. And just going through it, listening to what I guess listening to that driving here had a big impact on me.
Oh, beautiful.
More so than you listen and you're like going through it. But
Are you
I
listening
didn't-
to the book or are you listening to the...
the book? I was just popping
okay.
around, and then I
Yeah.
started listening, and I went back. I kept listening, and there was something, and I just kept going back. And it's just the way you express yourself and the way that you're talking, because I've heard it through another teacher, through Yogi G, and the way he expresses it.
Right.
Right. And then I was like, I'm like, this dude's a master. Like, if I didn't, I went to one Agape thing. I'm listening to him, but I just, you know what I mean? I was tuning more into the energy of it, and
Right,
feeling it. So when you were
right,
coming
right.
up here, I was like walking through it, going, wow, I feel this.
Yeah.
Even when you were talking, you could see I got a little choked up for a minute because you said you saw something I'd seen.
Yes.
So right when you said it, like even now talking about it, I have to
Yeah, I understand.
slow it down a little bit because I'll get.
I do the same thing. Sometimes, you may know, sometimes I'll cry right before I speak.
Mm.
I just kind of empty, and then a few
You
tears come
get
out.
it out.
And then I'm empty. I'll go up and speak. Or sometimes during the talk, I don't go into full-on tears, but it's like it wells up.
Mm.
You know who Pato Banton is? Reggae artist.
I do.
He does Guan. He's Jamaican. Anyway, so when I did the joint to finish on that one, talking about crying, I asked him. He believes in Urantha. You know
Rancher
what
book.
that- Yeah.
I used to
okay.
teach that.
Okay, so
back
he's
in the day,
he's
70s.
he's a minister, but he's a very famous reggae artist. He came to the joint and did a show, and we spoke about God, and we talked about my feelings and me, this love moment that I was having.
Mhm.
And I asked him, would you baptize me?
Mhm.
Would you anoint? He said, I'm not baptized. You've already been baptized, but I'll anoint you. So I went with his wife Antoinette, Sire, and this drunk old man that used to come in was named Tony. that I got sober because I sat him down. I'm like, what are you doing with your life? We have to walk you home every night to assisted living. So it was an odd group of people that I was in the room with. Okay, the drunk dude that I inherited
God
with
works
the
through
business.
everybody.
Yeah, let me tell
God
you.
works through
Angels come through everywhere.
anybody and everybody.
So I go in and he does the thing, and I'm leaning over this table. It's black, and my eyes are closed, and I look down, and the table's wet. And I'm not, none of that's
Just all this
happening.
flowing on
I'm
you.
not. I mean, I wasn't breathing deep, but I look down, the table's wet. I'm like, what happened to the table? And then I start feeling these tears dropping.
Yeah.
It was like a flood.
Yeah.
Rev. It was like, I mean, Kilo, I'm telling you, like, it was dripping down. It's water on the table, not a couple tears. And then finally he did his thing and he stopped, and his wife came up to me and started crying. Tony was crying. Sire was crying. Everyone's crying, and they were like, she said, we've done this 1,000 times, and I've never seen energy run out of somebody's head like that before.
You were serious.
She was like, you need to not turn your back on what you just went through, and you need to understand that you have a responsibility. And
Absolutely.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just came to feel better. I didn't want a job.
The gift and the gifts we get, they don't belong to us. They belong to the community.
Yeah.
You know, any talent, any gift, any insight you have, any revelation, it doesn't belong to you because it's the presence of God. So it belongs to everyone else. And it's your job to figure out how to give it away, how to share it, how to shine it, how to radiate it, how to express it. And when you realize that, then you keep getting more and more to give. If you think it's just yours, you get stagnant.
Yeah.
And it stops, too.
It stops. But if you give it away, then there's
Expands,
more.
yeah.
Keeps multiplying.
Well, I'm ready.
Yeah, it keeps multiplying.
It's like the tide. It comes in and it comes out. It's knowing where to stand, you know?
Right.
Because that tide always comes in and you don't know. And it's just having that faith and, like, that
Yeah.
it will be there.
Yeah, faith. So first you have hope, and then you have faith, and faith turns to conviction. Then conviction turns to knowing. You just know.
Yeah.
You know, you have a personal
You're
revelation
standing
of
in
it.
it. Yeah, you're basking in it.
Understanding, understanding, overstanding. You know it.
So is there as we kind of come to a close, is there any events coming up that people should look forward to, or some things that we should talk about for you guys at Agape?
This weekend, this Saturday, I'm doing an intensive that they can sign up online on real prosperity. Not just about, it includes money, but it's really about living in the field of abundance.
Yeah.
And activating your potential. And that's going to be, I think, from like 9 to 4 online. People are signing up for it. I have a meditation retreat that's now open for people to sign up for. It's going to happen in Joshua Tree at the end of the year.
I saw that.
Yeah, I go through New Year's. So we actually do the New Year's there. And have some great ceremony. That's happening. And of course, every Sunday at the Saban, you know.
At the new location,
we're
which is
rocking.
on the Wilshire and La Cienega,
Yeah.
next to the Larry Flint building.
Right.
And I must say, it
we're
feels
healing all
good
of
in
that.
there. Yeah, no doubt. But it feels good in there. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Matter of
it's-
fact, I'm going to be over there tomorrow painting Lee's office, and then
Are
also
you?
the lobby. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that.
No,
but
I
I'm
didn't
an
know
artist.
that. Who called you about that?
Corey.
Oh, Special
Yeah,
K.
So I went over. Yeah, I went over and met with.
Did you know
Lee.
that?
Nope.
He's going to be painting.
Hey, he stuck with me now, Rev. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, that's going to be great, man.
yeah.
So
I mean,
the website where they can find out about Joshua Tree.
Oh, agapelive.com. AGAPELIVE.com. Instagram, Michael B. Beckwith, Facebook, all of that's there. But
I got a question on another
Yeah.
note. What's up with Our Love?
Our Love. It may be the first dating app that actually deals with somebody's spiritual aspect of life. So you enter in on if you have a spiritual practice.
Yeah,
Is
the
it-
questions are built
Around that.
around.
What is your practice? Is it yoga? Is it meditation? Is it agape? Is it Tony Robbins? Is it, you know? So they have all these different matrix that dating apps have, but it's primarily focused on people who are becoming awake.
Versus
So-
income, car, job.
So like, you know, as you just described, people think you're crazy if you're into this way of thinking. So this way, it's like, hey,
Connecting.
everybody that signs up is in
Is
there at some
like-minded.
level.
Yeah, like-minded or looking for that.
So if they go to the website, they can get on the waiting list, and if they sign up under Agape's website, they get 2 years free.
yeah,
Oh,
I
great.
saw him in service, and when he talked about it, I really
Yeah.
liked his energy.
Yeah, that
He
was
energetic.
JJ, John
Yeah,
John Jacob. He's one of my practitioners. He lives between Costa Rica and LA.
And here, I
Yeah.
liked the pitch, and I called him on the phone, and I was like, "Look, man, I'm here to help if I can because
Great.
I think, like I got 19, 16-year-old daughters. I hope that would be a place they would look versus the other alternatives that you get.
Yeah.
There's a deficit out there of spirituality.
And more people are waking up. So they want to find out where people are waking up.
Yeah.
That's why we have all those young people at Agape now.
Yeah.
All the millennials are rolling through there.
Yeah.
And
The hipsters are popping in.
Everybody's popping in there, man. They don't want to be churched.
Yeah.
They want to know God. There's a difference.
That's why you stay in such good shape, because you want to let them know, you're on their level, right? Don't mess around. I can touch my
Well, I'm just
toe.
showing them the example. You're not supposed to get old. You're not supposed to age. You're supposed to sage.
Yeah.
So I believe in saging, not aging.
I love it.
So no one gets sick overnight. It's a process of getting sick. So if you do certain things every day, you're going to slow that process down.
Yeah.
And live much more fully and much more completely.
You don't eat meat. You're completely raw.
No, I'm not completely raw, but I'm a plant-based person.
How long has that been?
Wow. I became vegetarian when I was young.
Yeah.
After I had my opening, I was eating a piece of chicken, and I could feel the pain of the chicken.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what it was, but I could feel it. So I stopped eating. My mother was very concerned because I was a meat eater. I didn't do a lot of vegetables. So she said, "What you gonna do, boy?" I said, "I'm gonna eat vegetables."
I eat everything else but that. Yeah.
Then I found out there was three parts of that. One, I could feel the pain of the animal if they were raised crazy and how we treat the animals. I'm not telling everybody to be a vegetarian, but they should cut back.
Yeah, that's how I did it. The same girl that brought me to Kundalini had me a vegetarian. I was damn near a vegan.
Yeah.
And now it's hard for me to see meat as a primary portion
No,
of
you're
my
not supposed
meal.
to.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's
I don't need a big 12-ounce steak with a few peas and some potatoes. Now it's like a couple of
No, the meat
bites of
should be
steak.
the side dish.
Yeah.
And that's what Obama was trying to do with the new meals, and they attacked them.
Yeah.
He said we have such a rate of diabetes and cancer that if we just cut back on the meat and add more vegetables, they attacked them because the pharmaceutical company was pissed off because
everybody was, because they lose.
The
he's
dairy
in their
product,
pockets.
it's
like
meat.
Malcolm X, get out of my pockets.
Yeah, he was getting in the pockets.
Yeah.
So then I discovered you didn't need meat for protein.
Do you ever worry about that?
Meat for protein?
No, you getting in the pockets.
Sometimes people would, because I would talk about certain things. I'll say that's called death row. When you see all those little restaurants, that's death row. And you need to go to life row. Yeah.
Because I worry, like as I'm coming through this, like the people we
I don't worry
they
anymore.
ain't trying to hear all that.
No, they may neutralize you. You may become a political prisoner of some kind. The IRS may come.
I'm not Ai Weiwei or anything, but I'm about to make some noise. You feel me?
Yeah. It's your job. You can't unsee.
It's what we do.
So there's 3 levels. 1, the animals. 2, the environment, the methane that hits it's from cows and pigs.
Yeah.
And then 3, spiritually. Is that when you start to clear your channels of that debris, the meditations are a lot deeper.
Yeah.
A lot more pure.
Yeah.
You cut out a lot of sugar, you cut out dense protein, because most people don't realize you don't get any nutrition from the meat for 48 hours because it has to break down the meat and then put the amino acids back together, but they're amino acids from a dead protein. So if you get direct amino acids from spinach and cauliflower, things like that, and you eat fruit, like you get nutrition from this within a few moments. Breaks it down, goes into your bloodstream. But if you eat a piece of meat, it's going to be at least 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's all, and then your colon is all blocked out.
Yeah, no doubt.
No
doubt.
So we have nutrition now.
It is.
Well, Rev, I think I'd like to say thank you so much for coming in. As I mentioned when you walked in, you're a hero of mine on a lot of levels, and I'm very grateful for the time that you spent with us. And I look forward to a deeper relationship in the future. And
Me too.
Like I said, I'm here for you.
Me too.
Whatever we can do.
You're gonna be
help.
painting.
Yeah.
No, but I love what you guys are doing. I love who you are. I want the relationship to deepen. I'm glad I got in. He was nagging me a little bit.
I mean, I was on him though. In his defense,
I said we're gonna make the time, and we're gonna make.
I was
the
on
time.
him. He was like, Eddie, man, you gotta understand. I cannot, it's all. I'm like, man, I don't understand. Let's get this done.
I could feel your energy. You were on it. I said, we're gonna do this. This is map out the time.
We definitely want to connect with you again to see, about how we can connect you to this event that we're working on. I just feel that
This is the one in November or another event?
November, but there's a world tour that
Yeah.
is going to go all around the United States, and we're going to talk about that. but the art show, music festival on November 15th and 16th.
You know, it's a good idea. Maybe, I mean, and I'm just spitballing here, but maybe we bring the Agape youth kids. We're gonna do painting with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And have 5 or 6 artists come
absolutely.
out and
You have
paint with.
vendors as well at the.
Oh yeah. That's why I
Well,
wanted to sit
we
down with
may or
you.
may not have vendors,
Really?
but we were definitely doing paint with kids, and maybe the Agape kids would be perfect
Yeah.
for that.
Reverend Leon generally has the kids go out and do service projects. They paint. They do all kinds.
Well, what they would do is paint with, like, we give them a canvas this big.
Yeah.
They start getting the glitter and the glue, and then
think
the
it'd be
artists
great,
come
man.
by and
And
touch
where
it
is
and
it?
talk to them. It's going to be downtown on Jesse and
that's
Santa
easy. That's
Fe,
easy. That's easy.
which is right by the Lift office, where Retina Studio is, and
That's easy.
Bestia. And it's a great compound. We've taken it over. Where Joey's curated this wonderful experience for Saturday. I've curated an art show for Friday night with like 35 artists. We got
Fantastic.
Mystic Marley, Stephen Marley's daughter, may play one of the nights. We have Snoop Dogg DJing.
Akon will come in and speak on the
Akon's
panel. then
coming,
he'll
which we'd
perform.
love to get you on the
Beautiful.
panel.
Beautiful.
I really appreciate you coming in.
So I got, we've been toying around with this idea of when we have people come in, them taking us out with some inspirational something or another. So if you, based on this experience and this sit down with us, if you had something you would want to say to the people out there about, what can you take us out?
Absolutely. Why don't I take us out with a moment of evocation?
Okay.
A moment of we just stop in this moment. Everybody who's listening, just take a deep breath, release, and allow yourself to come to an awareness that this moment right here and right now is a fresh starting point for the rest of your life. Everything that has happened in the past has led you to this moment as a fresh starting point. And that out of nothing at all but an idea, your whole life can go on a new trajectory. A whole new possibility can emerge. So as I am embracing this moment, I'm embracing each and every individual that's listening. I am proclaiming that where they are, the fullness of the Spirit is, nothing lacking, nothing missing whatsoever. And that this fresh starting point brings new ideas, great possibilities, wisdom, guidance, direction, and a language and in a way that can be understood and acted upon so that individually and collectively, we become the architects of a whole new destiny for our planet now. We become the midwives to something new that's trying to happen. We elevate our energy, we elevate the octave, the frequency of our mental body, emotional body, physical body, so that the vitality of the Spirit can take over. Out of nothing but what we already have within us. And I proclaim that this is happening right now. That there are no accidents, that the presence never does do-overs, never does repeats. Everyone is significant. Everyone has meaning. And everyone has a mission, and everyone has a gift to give. I proclaim that we begin to give it now, fully and completely, and allow it to be so. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
So it is. Sat Nam.
Sat Nam.
That's right. Wow, what a way to go.
Thank you for that.
Hey, thank you for the invitation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
All
for the
right,
invitation.
so we got